House Louisiana Republican Senator John Kennedy. He's a member of that Appropriations Committee and was one of the senators who questioned the Attorney General this morning. Senator Kennedy, always good to hear from you and see you, sir.
Thank you, Chuck. Good to be with you, man.
Let me start with, I'm just straight up confused. Did the Attorney General today, did he say there was spying on the Trump campaign and then saying he wasn't going to investigate it? Because I heard both of those comments today. I'm more confused than I think I should be.
Well, here's what I heard, which I think is factual, and I asked him about this. I think that there were a handful of people in 2016 at the FBI, maybe at the Justice Department, who chose to investigate both presidential campaigns. Not just President Trump's campaign, but Secretary Clinton's campaign as well. And the issue, of course, is were they in good faith? If they weren't, if they were just acting on their parochial political beliefs, all I want from them is away. I want them gone. It doesn't mean they can't have political beliefs, they just can't act on them. But I think it's a fact that both campaigns were investigated. Now, you can call it spying or whatever you want to. I think
well, how is it spying? But no, Senator, I guess the thing that, when the Attorney General of the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States of America calls an FBI investigation spying, you know what that does to the perception of the FBI. That's toothpaste that's going to be very hard to shove back into that tube, calling the FBI a spying agency. And I know perhaps that isn't what he wanted to come across as, but it was an FBI investigation, and he's now calling it spying.
Well, I can't tell you why the Attorney General used that choice of words. I can't, Chuck. I can just tell you I think what I heard him say in context, and what I think is a fact, is that the FBI and some members of the Justice Department in 2016 investigated both the Trump campaign and the Clinton campaign, not just one campaign.
Right.
And the issue is, and I hope Barr does find out, were they in good faith or were they acting on parochial political beliefs? And that's a very fair question. I want to know that. It's a serious matter when in the middle of a presidential campaign, when each party has nominated its candidate for the FBI to decide to investigate the campaign.
Senator, there already have been multiple investigations on this. There was an Inspector General investigation, which of course got Andy McCabe fired. But it didn't find FISA abuse. There's been multiple investigations. The House Republicans and the Intel Committee have done a bunch of stuff. Turned out none of it was true. Richard Burr has debunked a lot of these allegations himself. And the Senate Intel, I guess, how many more investigations do we need? Are they just looking for an investigation just so they can say there's one?
Well, I'm not talking about the need for another investigation. I think the way you're talking about it, Chuck, I want to know, did they have credible evidence? Were they in good faith in investigating Secretary Clinton and her campaign and in investigating President Trump and his campaign? And here's the short way home to this. You're right. Rather than doing another investigation, there's an easier way. The president talked about it back in September. I wish he'd do it. Just declassify, properly redacted, all of the documents at the FBI about the investigations of presidential campaigns in 2016. Let the American people see them. They've got to be properly redacted. But let the American people see them, and American people will draw their own conclusions. And you know what? They'll be right.
You called the Attorney General last night. You called him a straight shooter. Are you worried that he's giving up his sort of whatever political capital he had going into this, that he's now looking more partisan? Maybe it's not his intent, but in some of his actions, in fact, how he's handling the Mueller report or using the spying, that he's giving up that impartiality that you thought he had?
No, and here's why. Mr. Mueller made his report. Now, Mr. Barr had two choices. He could have did what he did, give a summary and say, I'll release the properly redacted full report later, or he could have said nothing. In the meantime, it's apparently taking a while to go through the report to do the redactions. In the meantime, we just have more rumor and innuendo and speculation. And the longer you wait, Chuck, the more risk you run that it's going to leak. That's why he's got to be careful giving an unredacted copy to Congress. It's not that Congress can't handle it. It's that when's the last time you saw an important document given to the United States Congress that didn't leak? It's never happened in the history of ever. I mean,
well,
this is not.
Trust me, talk to the Intel Committee. They do a pretty good job, sir. I mean, I love beating up Congress like you do sometimes. But the Intel Committee does a pretty good job of keeping stuff classified.
The Intel Committee is different. People know with the Intel Committee that someone can get killed.
Yes.
In terms of national security, you're talking about people's lives. I'm talking about policy issues that might involve grand jury testimony, might involve other investigations. You don't honestly believe, I mean, you're a smart guy, Chuck, that if Bill Barr turned over a document, unredacted, to the United States Congress, spelling out what's going on in the other investigations, particularly the one in New York of President Trump, you don't believe it wouldn't leak. No, it would leak at warp speed. We both know that.
You were a common sense guy. I don't understand why Barr can't go in a room with the chief counsel on the Democratic side and the chief counsel on the Republican side of the Judiciary Committees, and they can watch him redact in real time and see what it is. There are ways to do this in a way that would create trust but verify. I would think it just doesn't seem like anybody's interested in it because everybody wants to play politics with this.
Well, everybody wants to spin it. This has been going on for 2 years. And look, there are two groups of people here. There's one group of people who are disappointed in the result of Mr. Mueller's investigation, and they're going to attack the process. They're wildly dishonest. You've got another group of people that say, okay, Mueller gave it his best call. Now I want to see the process and see how he reached his conclusion. That's fair. That's fair. But you can't release grand jury information. You can't release information about other FBI investigations, and you can't release national intelligence information to Congress. I wish you could, but they're going to leak it, and you know that, and I know that.
I know. That's why I do think cooler heads could prevail. You can create a small group, but again, that's too much common sense for our friends in Congress. Sure,
look,
go ahead, Senator.
If we get a redacted report from Bill Barr where every third word is blacked out and there's no context and we can't tell what it means, I'll be right here next to my Democratic colleagues saying this is in bad faith. But that hasn't happened yet. I don't think it will happen. I do think Bill Barr is a straight shooter. But even if you disagree with me on that, I think we can all agree, fair-minded people anyway, he's not a moron, okay? He's an intelligent guy, and he is not going to put a document out there that tries to pull the wool over smart people's eyes. I don't believe it. If he does it, then I will change my estimation of him.
Fair enough. Senator John Kennedy, Republican from Louisiana, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, sir. Thanks for coming on and sharing your views. Much appreciated.
Thanks, Chuck.